you want to be fair, then you will frame this as Joe Biden being the candidate that supports American democracy, and Donald Trump, a candidate who supports a new form of government here that's authoritarian. It's really that simple. And by the way, Reverend Al, when people go, oh, you can't compare him to past Nazi leaders, you can't compare him to this past Nazi leader or that past fascist leader, because he hasn't done it yet, doesn't mean he won't do it. Then a lot of these people that are talking about literal or figurative or whatever the hell they're saying.
I was in the foothills of the Himalayas with...
You're going to look like idiots. He will get away with, he will imprison, he will execute whoever he's allowed to imprison, execute, drive from the country. Just look at his past. It's not really hard to read. The only thing that stood between him and the destruction of American democracy was the federal judiciary.
It's crazy to me these people are out here saying that Trump is the biggest threat to democracy ever. All right. Last night on the live stream, we talked a little bit about the FCC. We're going to play a couple clips that I didn't get to play last night. One from the president of Argentina, one from Trump that was, I think, just released today. And then we're going to talk about this FCC regulation and what it's going to be used for in reality.
Joe Biden and the radical left Democrats are trying to pose as the defenders of democracy, but in fact, they're the ones destroying our democracy. Crooked Joe and his henchmen have tried to shut down free speech with a massive government censorship operation to silence their critics. They have 4 bogus criminal cases trying to put their leading political rival, me, in prison. Let's put him in prison. He's leading by a lot. There's no way we can beat him. Let's put him in prison. They're persecuting Christians and pro-life activists. They're persecuting anybody they want to persecute. They've labeled ordinary Republicans and parents at school board meetings as potential domestic terrorists. They're resettling millions of migrants into our communities, destroying our country like it's never been destroyed before. They're calling our citizens criminals. They rigged the last election. They rigged the Democrat primary, and they're trying to get their rivals thrown off the ballot everywhere they can. So if Crooked Joe wants to turn this election into a question of which candidate will defend our democracy and freedom, then I say, bring it on. Let's go, Joe, bring it on, because you are a corrupt person. You're the most corrupt president in our history. And by the way, the most incompetent president in our history. Because Americans don't like tyrants, we don't like fascists, we don't like communists, and we don't like Crooked Joe Biden. You just have to look at the polls. With your vote on Election Day 2024, America will be a free nation once again. We will be free and we will be great. Thank you.
All right, so that video just dropped today. That was the former president talking about some of his trials and tribulations, what he's going through right now, what the country is going through, what his plans are if he happens to win the election in 2024, which according to latest polls, he is up on both sides right now, the Electoral College and the general election, pretty big. If you listen to the talking heads over at MSNBC, CNN, Jen Psaki, Joe Scarborough, Reverend Al, they will all tell you that this type of speech is dangerous. This is some type of hate speech. It's a threat to our democracy. But if you compare it to some of the words and language and speeches that the gentleman who just won the presidency down in Argentina has made, you might say this stuff is pretty mild. Watch.
Zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
Pero ¿me podés definir zurdo de mierda que no
Todos
lo
los que,
entiendo?
digamos, los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea... A ver,
¿Por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
Porque son una mierda.
Vos mezclás...
Sí, no,
pero
es que si pensás, pero si pensás distinto te van a aniquilar. Ese es el punto. Es decir, vos al zurdo no le podés dar un milímetro, porque le das un milímetro y lo tomas para destrozar. ¡Zurdos, hijos de puta, tiemblen! ¡La libertad avanza! ¡Viva la libertad, carajo! Cultura, afuera. Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad, afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas, afuera. Aunque te resistas. Ministerio de Educación, Adoctrinamiento. ¡Afuera! Se acabó el curro de la política. ¡Viva la libertad, carajo! ¿En qué locura estamos viviendo? La locura de la corrección política estúpida, donde básicamente locura estamos viviendo. La locura de la corrección política estúpida, donde básicamente no, si ustedes no recitan el socialismo cool, si ustedes no son woke, entonces son violentos, son un peligro para la democracia. Vamos, muchachos.
Seguro.
Sigamos con estas estupideces y en lugar de ser 140, vamos a hacer la villa miseria más grande del mundo.
Now, you heard both gentlemen speak. I don't know who sounds more crazy to you, but the libertarian narco-capitalist down in Argentina just absolutely decimated and crushed his opponent by like 13 points. A socialist who was the finance minister in a country that's been run by socialism for 40, 50 years now, just absolutely decimated his opponent. And these numbers might look very similar if the United States elections were tomorrow. Just replace Milei with Donald Trump. And it really does make Trump seem pretty level-headed, doesn't it, when you look at what they were saying, and to see the discrepancy in the vote, this guy coming out of nowhere in a third party, I'm sure is scaring the shit out of the Democrats. And so the question becomes, what are they going to do about it? And that's going to bring us into our next point about the FCC. Watch.
Become part of the private sector. Now they have no skin in the game with that. I think it probably freaked them out, and they're like, we got to do something different, man. Like, just go right to the source.
If you don't think this is about the election, you need to wake up.
This
is about controlling the election and making sure the right people stay in power. I don't think they care if we talk about comic books, as long as we are not shifting anything that has to deal with the election. Keep the people in power that they want to stay in power. Control the information. It is a 100%. This is what they're doing in our school systems, from elementary school up to college. Just keep the information that they want being taught to our young people and our college, everything else. This is the whole thing. They know that the internet can be dangerous, where people can speak their mind and show real facts and show things like that, and they don't like it because people begin to, wake up and is this really happening? This is what's going on? Yeah, we need to cut that.
So that was Jay from Drunk 3PO on Geeks and Gamers. I believe they had some kind of simulcast the other night. I guess they have some collaboration where they get a bunch of different streamers on, which was pretty cool. I got to watch that, and where they talked about this new FCC ruling. And I said last night during the live stream that this is another Trojan horse that the government is using under the guise of digital equity and not having discrimination in the broadband cable networks, just to get more control. As Jay said right there very clearly, he thinks this has to do with the election, and I agree with him 100%. Probably more than that. But let's dive a little deeper into what was actually said in this article, in this ruling, and how the government has excluded themselves from being held to the same standard. So here's the article from ABC News. FCC adopts rules to eliminate digital discrimination for communities with poor internet access. The order provides framework for the FCC to crack down on a range of digital inequities, including disparities in the investment of services for different neighborhoods, as well as the digital divide, a term experts use to describe the complete lack of internet access many communities experience due to regional or socioeconomic inequality. FCC Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel said that Congress required the agency to adopt rules addressing digital discrimination through bipartisan infrastructure legislation passed at the start of the Biden administration. The digital divide puts us at an economic disadvantage as a country and disproportionately affects communities of color, low-income areas, and rural areas. I just think this is totally bogus, because there is no company out there who doesn't accept green, and that's really the only color that any of these companies care about. During Wednesday's FCC hearing, Brendan Carr, one of the agency's commissioners, argued that the new policies open the agency up to potential litigation and would hamper operations by the telecommunications industry. It's not about discrimination, it's about control. The telecommunication industry has entered a Faustian bargain by supporting the bipartisan law that had previously called the framework a power grab. And I think that's exactly what this is. Again, there is no one turning down green. And for those of you out there who are still delusional and believe that the government has some kind of deep-rooted interest in digital equity and protecting its constituents and taking care of its voters, Let's just go back to a week ago what Gavin Newsom said about the homeless problem in San Fran.
Folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true. But it's also true for months and months and months prior to APEC, we've been having different conversations.
And just to make sure we don't leave any doubt, in a set of late-round edits, the FCC attempted to fix some of the problems with the order. The order now exempts the Biden administration's signature Internet for All initiative and the FCC's own Universal Service Fund programs from these new rules.
Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise.
Is that because they're racist? I don't know. You guys tell me. It's definitely a riddle wrapped inside a mystery, wrapped inside an enigma. All right, this seems like a good place to leave it, guys. I think we'll call this video a wrap. We will be going live in the next 24 hours or so. I said last night we had some big announcements, and they are coming. If you made it this far in the video, if you would hit that like button for me, share this video, do what needs to be done. You guys know the drill. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think about this FCC ruling? Do you think this is a Trojan horse like me? Do you think this is something that they're actually trying to push for digital equity? As always, thank you for all the likes, the views, the comments. My new subscribers, my OGs, I appreciate each and every one of you. We are here to break the wheel. This is Ape Nation. I'm the Massalorian, and I'm out.